This is Dave with DII. We've got our handpan class going on right now. We've been doing this for years. So join us if you want to learn a little bit more about handpans, how they're made, how to play them a little bit and get started. And we're also going to be reviewing different scales and scale options today. A lot of people have questions about scales and handpan scales and how they work together or don't work together or what they are and that sort of thing. So join us, come on in and just check it out. I've got Daniel here with me, by the way. Daniel, are you here?
Yeah, Dave, I am here. How's it
Woohoo!
going?
All right, Daniel, how you doing, man?
Coming to you live from Long Beach. You're over there in
That's right.
Lakewood.
All right. Well,
Awesome.
let me give the basics here, Daniel. I'm David Beery, the owner of DII. That's Daniel Tim. He helps us out with the audio, video, and all the sorts of fun stuff and sales here at DII. So he knows all sorts of things about the handpans as well. I'm going to give a couple little details right up front about who we are. So we've got our website, davesislandinstruments.com. Go there. We sell handpans and ukuleles. We also have a platform called the DII Community, which we have online lessons now. So go check it out. You can go to our website, go to the services tab, and look for online lessons, and you'll find them there. DII Community. It's really a great way of getting started with handpans. Whether you own one of our handpans, it's a great way of learning how to play the handpan and get started. Okay, so Daniel, let's see. What else do we have to talk about? Daniel, I think we're going to be talking about scales today, right?
Yeah, we're definitely going to be talking about scales because I was actually in the shop the other day and I noticed there was some cool new pans out there with a little bit of different scales. And actually, I was messing with the Pygmy and the Equinox and like going back and forth and doing that. So I know
Yeah.
you want to. I know all our customers have been asking. Some that are already a handpan. They already own a handpan, but they're getting into it more, and they want to get one for either their significant other, and they want
Yeah.
to have like different scale but works together. And actually,
Right.
these are fun. Like those scales are like
Yeah.
really fun. So
Yeah. Right. So first of all, let me just explain. Like we pretty much center most of our handpans, the different models we have, off of the D minor, Celtic minor. We call it the Sunset scale, and we basically focus on that scale the most. And we have all of our lessons basically working with that scale, and it really makes it great for people that are getting started with handpan. There's none of these really weird problems with scales not working with each other. So like also in the class format, when we do classes here at DII, if somebody has like a different scale, it's always hard to incorporate them into playing together. So we've really focused on the Sunset scale a lot here at DII. And also the other thing too is when we had our store open before pre-COVID, we'd have like a wall full of handpans with different scales. And predominantly like 80% or more of the time, people would really like the Sunset scale. So we just really focused on the Sunset scale. It's a great scale that gets you all around musically. It's not really too difficult to get started on. And the other thing too is you don't feel confined to playing the same thing over and over again. It kind of lends itself to giving you new ideas every time you play it. So we really like it here. It's one of our bedrock scales here at DII. But with that being said, sometimes people want to branch out. Like say they are one and they want, like you're saying, Daniel, like maybe they want a family member or a husband or wife or somebody like that to get one to play along with, but maybe not have the identical scale. So that's what
yeah.
we're going to be talking about today. Some scales that kind of can complement, they're complementary scales to the Sunset scale. And that's basically where we're at. So Daniel, go for it. What
Yes.
you have a question? Do you have any like what would be the first question on your mind about scales?
Ooh, I think I had a lesson the other day, and somebody was asking me like they were looking at that, and then I showed them how to go back and forth. The only way I know to go back and forth is usually there's a handpan's note going like that. They have a common note, so I just use
Oh yeah,
that
yeah,
note to go back and forth from the handpan. So
right.
my question would be, how do you transfer? Like if you're playing two handpans, how would you transfer? Because I think this would go back and like if you're playing with somebody else, how would you go back and forth, or how would you
Yeah.
incorporate them together?
Yeah, it can be a little bit confusing, especially for beginners. I mean, myself, since I'm, a musician, I went to music school and college and all that sort of thing. I'm very familiar with music in general. But people that are unfamiliar with music, when they walk up to a handpan, it's still kind of a mystery. And like, I would be like, for instance, this handpan over here is a G minor Pygmy scale, and this is a D minor Sunset scale. And so they both have a D in the center. So if you had two playing, sounds great together, right? Because you have the same D in the middle,
Yeah.
and and then you could actually branch out from there, and maybe this person could play something while this person's playing something like this. Right? And then you switch it up. The other person could play. So this person's going to play the ding now.
Wow, that's so awesome.
Right? So basically, you could center around that ding note on this particular these two drums here. So we've got two different scales, but they sort of work together because you both have the same ding note.
Right.
But there's certain instances when like a handpan wouldn't have this same ding note. Like over here, we've got an F sharp equinox. And it doesn't sound good at all.
Uh-huh.
But they sound great on their own. So that's kind of what the trick is with handpans. Like when you're choosing different scales to play along with something else, you kind of need to know what notes they are and if they're going to be working together. But that's kind of why we're here too, because we've been investigating different scales that work well together.
No,
we
absolutely.
want our customers to be happy when they get the instrument, and they want to be able to, enjoy them when they're playing along with their friends and family and sort of thing. So,
Awesome.
All right. So I don't know if did that answer your question? Sort of?
Yeah, that totally answered my question. It'd be cool. Well, since we do have our major scale is the D minor, Celtic minor, or the Sunset scale that are on all of our production pans. What would be some good scales that would go with that pan? I would say.
All right. Well, I'll
That's
just tell
a question
you my
we get a lot.
Favorites. Yeah, my current favorites. So obviously the D minor Sunset, it would be like the main one. Like that's the one that's like the sun. And then you're gonna have planets rotating around the sun. So the Sunset is kind of like the sun, and now we're a little satellite over here. This one's called the Quest scale. It's got higher notes on it. So a lot of people like the sound of lower meditative notes on their handpans. But with this instrument over here, you can kind of treat it like a melody instrument. And the other cool thing about it is, like, watch this. I'm basically going to play the exact same scale motions on both instruments, and you're going to notice that it harmonizes. So if you're a beginner, you don't even need to know what the notes are. You could just hit in the same spot, and it's going to harmonize. So watch this. So that's one reason I really like this combination, the Sunset scale with the Quest scale. If you just play them straight up like this, you can see it's a different kind of scale. It has a different sound, but they really work well together. Another before we go on, so another quick thing is, like, if you play on the right-hand side of this instrument, they all harmonize. So if one person is playing on the right-hand side of this handpan and the person is playing on the right-hand side of this handpan, it's all going to harmonize. And if somebody plays on the left side, then that's all going to harmonize. So you can kind of organize your jamming and your performance, and just simply by logistics, like just where is your hand hitting, or which side of the handpan are you playing. So with these two, it makes it really, really bulletproof. It's like really easy to warm up to playing together with these two instruments.
Wow, I just learned something today. That was crazy, because that's the pan that one of our rental customers brought back.
Yeah.
And then she rented the D minor after that, but I didn't know that they go together like that. They
work really well together. Yeah.
That was super cool.
So yeah, here's like these two handpans go pretty well together. The G minor Pygmy and the D minor Sunset. But on this one, you kind of have to practice a little bit more. For instance, like here's our D minor chord here. But if you play on the right-hand side of this, it sort of works, but it's not perfect like that over here it is with the Quest. Right. If you play on the left-hand side, it sort of works, but it's not entirely perfect. So like with this one, D minor is actually these notes here, so you would have to figure out where those notes are. And then over here is a G minor chord, and this one doesn't even have a G minor chord. Right. So when this one's playing a G minor, you kind of want to just stay away from it, except for maybe playing the G and the D. So this one, you can like warm up to it. Like I showed you earlier, there's certain aspects of how you can play it together which work really well together. You just have to study it a little bit more. Whereas this one's really super intuitive. The Quest is super intuitive. The G minor Pygmy is nice because it does have this B flat note in it. And so a lot of people like having that B flat be something like this.
Oh,
And that kind of moody
yeah.
sound, right?
Yeah. Oh, that sounds
So that's
good.
one thing that's really nice about this G minor pygmy is it has that B flat in it, and you can kind of create these moody sound, moody, I don't know, textures to it. But again, like I just said, it takes a little bit more studying. You'd have to practice a little bit more, and then you can get going, and you're going to really have a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Either one of these,
absolutely.
you're going to have a ton of fun.
Yeah. Well, it's cool that you're showing this because a lot of times people don't know what they can actually do with the handpan, especially for all the new beginners that are watching. Take what Dave's showing you right now and, hey, this is possible. Now you have to learn the practice your techniques, which you'll show later, right?
Yeah. And
But
by
actually,
the way, the lessons that we teach in the DII community, online lessons, like we talk a lot about like how to play them on the sunset scale, but really it all sort of pretty much works with both of these, like the playing it. The pygmy is slightly different a little bit, but still you're going to get a lot of the same good techniques from those lessons that we have online.
Right. No, that's awesome. Actually, I couldn't help but notice, but that handpan that you have sitting in front of you, it looks pretty.
Oh, yeah. So this one, I'll bring it in a little bit closer.
I know this is we haven't really announced these, but oh my God, it's really nice. And
so we're calling this the Galaxy series because it kind of has a galaxy appearance to it with some special designs on it.
Yeah, it's very pretty.
Trying to get the lighting just right.
And that's the 11, right? They have the 11.
This is, yeah.
Nice.
Really Clarity 11. The
Very
Galaxy
pretty.
designs on top. And the Galaxy designs are totally custom special order. We don't do these on a regular basis. But we have this one on hand right now. And I think we've got one more kind of floating around in the workshop.
Ooh,
so it's kind of a special item. Yeah.
So
I really like them. I
watching,
think they look really super cool.
So if you're right now, this is not on our website right now, the Galaxy.
Right.
But if you are looking to get a new handpan and that looks pretty, you can call us and let us know.
That's right. But
there's only one available, actually. That's so funny. Nice, dude.
Yeah, it has bottom notes and everything, so it's a really great instrument. Yep.
And you were talking about the pygmy. Tell me a little bit about the pygmy, I guess. What's
so
the difference?
Pygmy, so this one is D minor, right? And on the sunset scale, on this particular sunset scale, there's no B flat note. And I know some people that don't know music don't really know what that means or anything. But like I said earlier, it kind of gives it a moodiness.
Yeah, I like that.
Right? Sometimes it can throw off beginners having that note. They don't always know how to manage it. That's why the sunset scale is super duper awesome. It just is really open sounding, and there's no squirrely notes that make you kind of scratch your head and go, I don't know what to do with this note. So the G minor, let me just switch these out a little bit.
Yeah. Amazing. Just a real quick too, I'm just going to bring this up. We have some comments. Athena Stamos just rented a handpan from us. This class timing is perfect. Yay. She's saying
good.
Hi, David and Daniel. Hi, Athena. How you doing?
Hi, Athena. Yeah, thanks for renting. That's great.
Yes.
And by the way, so Athena made a comment and said, thank you so much for making that comment. If anybody else out there has a comment or a question, feel free to put it and answer it live for you today. So please do that. That'd be great.
Yeah. And
all right, so we're talking about the pygmy scale here. And the G minor pygmy, it's got a D ding. So it matches the D sunset scale, but it has a different sound to it. Right, it has that sound versus. I kind of hear it as being slightly more mysterious somehow, like a little bit of a mystery to it.
Yeah, it does sound.
But yeah, like when I'm playing this one, for instance, on the sunset scale and the quest scale, I was telling you, like, to some degree, you can just play on the right side and everything works. You play on the left side and everything works, and you can create these harmonies and melodies very simply by just logistically changing where you're located on the handpan. This one doesn't quite work that way. It sort of does, but it's not as easy to do it. So with this one, you kind of have to figure out where the notes are. Like that's the G minor chord right there. 4 notes, and over here is a F minor. So you can kind of, once you figure those out, you have your different chord aspects that you can play and different harmonies that you can play with. Otherwise, it's just a great instrument just to enjoy just by playing it simply. You don't even have to know all these chord things. You can just simply.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
All I was really doing there is I was just kind of playing the notes going up and down the scale. I wasn't really thinking in my brain like, oh, G minor chord or D minor chord or anything like that. I was just kind of playing and enjoying just the sound of the instrument. So yeah, I really like the Pygmy scale. Pygmy scale really does have some really neat options to it. But like
nice.
I said, it's a little bit more
notes on
difficult
that?
compared to the Sunset. What's that?
What are the notes?
What are the notes?
Go
Sorry,
down the scale,
D
yeah.
is the ding.
Yeah.
G, A, B flat,
Ooh.
D, F, G, and A.
Wow. Oh, wow. Yeah, I like that.
So by the way, these notes here, same notes as on the exact same position, exact same notes that are on the D minor Sunset. So that's another cool thing. Like if you were playing over here on the Pygmy. Right. So the person that's playing on this one, if you had two players, could be messing around on these notes up here and the ding note, and it'll still work with everything that's going on over here. So yeah, it's like I said before, it's with a little bit of study, like you can really make these things work and work really effectively. It just takes a little bit of more practice. This one's just like ridiculously intuitive.
Right.
The Quest and the Sunset scales. So,
I think we were talking about like we're gonna do a jam with both of those. So one of these days.
Oh right, in the future, yeah, we're gonna do that.
Yeah, in the future.
Yeah.
We'll have some videos on how how to play together. So that's gonna be fun. Dave and Daniel playing together.
Right. So let me show you guys. So some people have questions about like why doesn't a certain scale work with another scale? Like I was just explaining just now that these work really well together. These work pretty well together. But this one over here, you're going to notice that it doesn't work at all very well with the others. But it's a great scale all by itself. So if somebody was looking for something that's completely different, this is like the F sharp equinox scale. I really dig it. I think it's a great scale. It has all sorts of options.
That's an F sharp.
Yeah, so it's F sharp equinox. But like over here, I was saying like with these two scales, the Quest and the Sunset. Those are in D minor. They're both in D minor, and they both work really well. It's super intuitive. The G minor Pygmy and the D minor Sunset work pretty well together after a little bit of studying. But the F sharp equinox is in a completely different scale. Let's just play the notes one by one to show you how they sound kind of funky together.
Oh, wow.
Right? Does that sound good? And most people would say that sounds kind of funky, David. You're playing a wrong note in there somewhere, right?
If you're going for dissonance.
Yeah. I mean, there are ways that you can kind of... like I'm using the D here and then just playing some notes here. So there are ways that you could make them work together, but they're somewhat limited. So that's kind of the trick with these.
Okay, so can you switch? So for example, you're playing one and then switch over to the other and play that one and then switch.
Oh yeah, that's kind of a fun thing to do.
Yeah,
so that's kind of a fun thing to do because it's a completely different sound. So let's say you're just playing on this one.
Yes.
Yeah. So it has a completely different, and I love that. That's what I really actually love about these. But when we're talking about like a husband and a wife playing together, there's not much there that you can do that's going to be like really super
Well,
enjoyable to play
well, they can do
together at the
then.
same time.
Then they could do a call and response. You
Yeah,
know
you
what
could
I'm
do call and
saying?
response.
Like
Yeah,
just like what you did, but you would just have to
yeah,
play separately and then try to find the notes. You could,
yeah.
yeah,
Like for instance,
that's
the common note on this one, there is a D here and a
yeah,
D here.
yeah. Exactly, exactly. Yes. No, I just wanted to share that because even
Right.
though
So
you
there's certain
may,
things you could do. Yeah.
because you can meet people like this happened to me in Rome. I met a guy that had a different pan, and we were trying to figure out how to play together,
Yeah.
in those scales. So that happens, and so like to learn how to do that is pretty awesome. Thank you for that example. That was like
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
cool.
It's kind of usually what you have to do is find the common notes. So like this one has a D here and this one has a D here. This one
Mm-hmm.
has an E. This one has an E. I think it
Mm.
has A's also. So you can kind of work with the common notes and play together on the common notes. But then after that, you really kind of need to practice
Yeah, you have to learn how
figure
to do
things
that.
out. You can't just immediately walk up and just start jamming. Yeah.
And that's where you can go to the DIY community in future videos we will have.
That's right. Yeah.
Don't forget to
Well,
sign
but
up.
we do plan on having some scales like this, and we're going to have some videos on how to incorporate them and play them together and all that sort of thing. Yeah.
So like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget that.
That's
I always
right.
like to say that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, we forgot to tell people to subscribe. So if you're not a subscriber to our YouTube channel, go down there to the red subscribe button, click it. We'd love to have you as a subscriber.
Smash that button.
Yeah.
I always want to say
Yeah.
that. So funny. No, that's amazing. Actually, let's see. Athena said the per side explanation for the sunset scale. I'll just put this up here. Was really helpful as a newbie with your rental handpan. So amazing. Maybe we can. I know we've been going a little bit more on these scale things, but maybe since we have Athena on, brand new to the rental, what would be some tips for Athena right now? I guess she just got the
Okay,
rental,
well, cool.
need
Yeah,
a handpan.
I can just basically move along with our regular class kind of
Yeah.
schedule. Because Athena, normally back in the pre-COVID days, we would have people come to the store and we'd have people set up in front of us here, and we would give like a short class and we would teach some fundamentals that I'm going to be teaching right now. So if you want to watch some of these fundamentals, go for it. I think it'll be really helpful, especially as you as a renter and getting started with the sunset scale.
Actually, Dave,
yeah.
I have one last thing.
Okay.
Actually, I had a customer that came in. I think you tuned her handpan, and there's lately I've been getting a lot of questions about like other handpans and stuff like that. And there's been, maybe hot tips for buying what you're looking for in a handpan. And like even right now, I think we have a lot of technology, and one of the things that we do pride ourselves here at Dave's Island that we can actually show you the handpan before you get it, the actual one. And all our handpans are serialized. They're signed by you inside, and it has the scale inside and stuff like that. So, the handpans that you have are very special. So, like maybe because we do tune other handpans sometimes, but sometimes the handpans are just, it's not worth it to tune it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So maybe speak a little bit to that on some
Sure.
tips on buying handpans, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. For instance, sometimes we'll get, and I've got some videos on the YouTube channel of me tuning handpans that were built by other people and purchased in different places. Occasionally I run into all sorts of problems tuning them, and not every handpan is made the same. And within handpans, there's certain attributes to like the size of the instrument that creates problems with certain notes. For instance, on this 20-inch size here, which is the same size as our Luna, like I never tune a B natural note. And the B natural, I never tune it because it always sounds bad. It's because the air that's inside of the instrument, it's kind of like not a refrigerator, like a shower. You know how you sing or hum in a shower at home, and it reverberates. But other pitches, it doesn't really reverberate very well. Same thing happens within this instrument. So the B natural just doesn't reverberate very well because of the size. When you go to the next 21-inch size, like our RS model here, the note that sounds bad on that one typically is the B flat. So I very rarely tune a B flat on that note. The problem with a lot of handpans that are being sold out there on Etsy and Amazon and that sort of thing is people, manufacturers are following the scales that people quote unquote like, or maybe they saw like a famous video on YouTube that somebody was playing one that they really liked. Um, but that scale might have like a B flat, like on a 20-inch size. So the scale looks just like so and so is playing it, but the B flat's going to always sound a little funky. So people bring those instruments to me and they say, "Hey, can you tune?" Well, sorry, no, I can't because it's just the way that instrument is built. The B flat doesn't sound good, and so unfortunately, beginners don't know any of this stuff, and so it's hard to explain that before making a purchase. But that's one of the issues that comes around. So, like even on this one, if somebody brought me a 20-inch model and it had a B natural, they say, "Can you fix this B natural?" And I'd be like, "Well, no," because the size of the instrument is just it's just the way it is. It's just never going to sound like the other notes that are tuned to the handpan. So yeah, handpans are a little bit squirrely with that. So you just have to be careful with choosing the scale and the size of the instrument. So here at DII, we've already kind of explored that. We try to avoid those notes so that when you get the handpan, you don't have any of those problems. So that's why, like on this instrument here, I don't tune a B flat to this one. So if you receive it, you're not going to get a B flat, and you're not going to have that problem because we avoid it. So
Wow,
we're trying to
awesome.
do a service to our customers right there, right from the get.
That's a pretty pan behind you. What is that? I think we just
Yeah,
did a
the
promo
Oris.
on that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Isn't
the
that the
Oris.
RS9, right?
Oris 12.
Oh, that's a 12. Ooh, we have one
Yeah,
in
it's got some
stock.
notes on the bottom.
We have one of those in stock. Are you serious?
There it is, right there, baby.
Whoa.
Yeah, so this is the B natural right here that I tune on the Oris, but
Nice, nice.
on the Luna I tune a B flat.
Yeah, that one sounds
Because
good. I
on
love
the
that
B
one.
flat it sounds fine on here, and that one sounds good with the B. But if I switched them, the B would
Mm-hmm.
sound terrible over here, and the B flat would sound bad over there. So that's why we have B flat
Mm-hmm.
on the Luna, B natural on the Oris.
Right, right, right. So basically, if like people are out there looking at handpans, there's the size you said, maybe the notes that they're looking for, or maybe coatings. You have the nitriding, the powder coating that we do, and then you have the stainless. What other
Yeah, a lot of that's
things?
kind of difficult to determine.
Uh-huh.
Uh, you could have a nitrided handpan that is, well, at least previously people were like, really, they loved nitrided sound,
Mm-hmm.
but it could be just tuned poorly.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's
So if you
right.
have a
Actually,
nitrided instrument and it's tuned poorly, then it doesn't matter if it's made out of nitrided plain steel or
mm-hmm.
stainless. The
Mm-hmm.
tuning matters a lot. So whoever's tuning the
Actually, you're,
instrument really needs to know
yeah,
what they're doing.
yeah, Dave, that's so true. Oh my gosh, that's so funny because I've seen a lot of pretty
Yeah.
handpans, but then when I came to the tuning, I was like, whoa, what's wrong with this pan? But yeah.
Yeah, I was drifting on Amazon the other day, Amazon.com, and looking up handpans and stuff like that. And I saw one comment on one of the instruments, and the person said, when I first got it in the mail, it sounded fine, but like 2 weeks later, it went out of tune. And I'm assuming it was a she. I'm not sure. I can't remember if she or he. The person said, "How does that even happen? How does it even go out of tune, right?" Well,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
first of all, handpans do go out of tune. They can go out of tune. And that's why we offer tuning services here at DII. But it shouldn't go out of tune within 2 weeks. It should stay in tune for months, if not a year. Most of the handpans that we sell here, we never see them again. We never get phone calls from anybody saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
it went out of tune."
But it's usually
Only
years
rarely do people bring them
later.
back. Usually people bring them back to get tuned because it fell or got damaged somehow. Or
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah, I've even had people return them to me and said, "Dave, well, you said that maybe after 3 months it needs tuning, so I brought it back." And I play it and it sounds totally fine. It doesn't really need tuning. But they just because I said maybe in 3 months, they decided that that was the time to bring it back, but it really wasn't. It was just they were totally fine, and it really is determined by your ear. Like if you hear it being out of tune, or if you're
Yeah.
playing with somebody else and somebody else says, "Oh, you know what? I think that a little out of tune. It sounds funny." Maybe that's when you need to bring it back. Or if you're doing a recording and it's not matching the tuning of the other instruments, maybe that's when you need to bring it back for tuning service.
Right, right, right.
But yeah, overall, the handpan should stay in tune. It shouldn't just go out of tune in like 2 weeks. And usually, the reason the handpans do go out of tune quickly like that is because the way the instrument was made was in not done well. Oh,
Right,
and
right.
it needs to be done in a certain way to where when you tune it, it stays in tune. If you tune it super duper fast and just to get it over with and ship it out to the customer, then it's likely that it's going to go out of tune soon as well.
Awesome. Hey, Dave, we got a couple questions. First one that came up was from Maeda. I think we already answered this, but I just want to bring it to. Although you enjoy the DIY community online, do you have any plans on having Zoom classes in the future? Live lessons.
Actually, that's a good question. Yeah. Well, hopefully with the end of COVID, hopefully coming up soon, we can have real classes at some point. I've been considering doing classes in the park, maybe coming up in the early summer, perhaps.
Woo!
So yeah, definitely, I would love to do that. Until then, though, because that would only help our local community. It would be nice to have some Zoom or group lessons, perhaps for like nationwide or worldwide. I think it would. No,
we can definitely plan those, and that'd be super fun, Maeda. Awesome, thank you for that. Next question is Athena. She says it's a silly question. No silly questions. For the note in the center of the pan, do you touch the center of the bubble or the area around it? That's a great question, Athena. Awesome.
Yep, perfect beginning question. Yep.
Yes.
All right, so that's part of my little class. So let me get my class started. Is that good, Daniel?
Yeah. Let's do this. All right. I'm gonna bring into your handpan.
All right, so there's our little handpan basics sheet on screen. So first of all, I'm just going to talk about the basic of the basics. This is made out of metal. The handpan is made out of metal. This one's made out of steel. The gold one back here is made out of stainless steel. There's other handpans that are made out of steel, and they have this coating on them called nitriding, which is a heat treating process that makes them extra hard. But either way, most of the handpans are made out of steel. There's no copper handpans. There's no titanium handpans that I know of. We've got a top shell, which is the playing side, and the bottom shell. The bottom shell has this big hole in the bottom, which is called the goo hole. And it's basically a port where the tuner can get his hand or her hand inside and tune the note. But you can also play these cool bass tones. I don't know if you can hear it over the internet, but you can create these cool bass tones out of it. You can also play the bottom shell with your fingers and get cool rhythms going. This instrument has some bottom notes. So we call those the bottom shell notes. The edge is called the rim. So more specifically now, I think Athena was asking about the middle note. The middle note here is called the ding, D-I-N-G. So this is the ding note. And then we have these notes around the edge, which we call tone field notes. Some people just call them tone fields. Some people just call them notes. Occasionally, I just call them notes, but they're called tone field notes, and this is the ding. The metal between the notes here that you see is between the notes. It doesn't really make any musical sound. It just makes a ticky-tacky kind of sound. That's called the interstitial metal, and we use that for percussive effects, like that. So, okay, getting back to the basics of how to, oh, by the way, these little dimples here in the notes, we call those dimples. That's an easy one. So we call those dimples, and why are they there? Why are those dimples there, and why does this have this bulging top to it? They kind of help control the sound of the notes. A steel drum is made very similarly to a handpan, but they don't have the dimples, and it has a real bright sound. So the dimples help to give the handpan a mellower sound and to make it not super bright, so it gets much more meditative sound out of the instrument. All right, so the ding note. So one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to practice how to play the ding note. Before that, I want to show you like how I use my fingers to play it. So typically, I use my index finger like that. And you want your finger just to kind of bounce on it and bounce off of it immediately. So I just kind of imagine my finger like a little bit of a spring, has a kind of a spring action to it. And so I strike it, it hits, and then it immediately comes back up. You can kind of see my finger wobbling a little bit there. So that's what I do on the instrument. And the same thing is true for all of the notes. So over here on this D on the right-hand side, I strike it, and I immediately come off of the note. Now, I pretty much do aim for the center of those dimples. A lot of people say, well, where do you aim to strike the note? I pretty much aim for the center of those dimples. If I'm off a little bit here or there, I'm not going to be like really frustrated with myself. I just missed it a little bit, and that's okay. However, you can get different sounds by touching different areas of the note. So on the ding here, we can explain a little bit better because it's a really big note. So if you want to get the best tone out of the ding note, you play at the center, like that, right? If you want to get different sounds, like here's, by the way, so this goes into a little technical of the tuning of the instrument. Each one of these notes has harmonics that are tuned to it. So it's got a fundamental pitch, which is the basic sound that you're hearing. Then it's got an octave, which is an octave above that pitch. And then it's got a fifth, which is above the octave. And you might not know exactly what that means, but I'm just letting you know that each of these notes is tuned that way specifically. And by the way, we were talking about tuning earlier. Some handpans, in order to speed up making them, the manufacturing part, they will not tune some of the harmonics. They will just tune like a fundamental pitch in an octave or something like that. I've even seen handpans where the octave wasn't even tuned. It was just the fundamental pitch. And it gives the instrument like a really poor sound. It sounds more like a marimba, like a really wood tone kind of sound, metallic wood tone. And yeah, you can kind of play it. It has some musical ability to some degree, but it's not really tuned in the traditional way a handpan is typically tuned. Anyway, so getting along with how to play these notes. So you play it with your index finger typically. And then if you want to play these different areas, you'll notice you can just explore the different sounds. And if you find one that you like, you can kind of hit there more regularly. But essentially on this ding note, there's the center is the full sound. If you gently mute the sides, like say you put like a line through it going straight through, the length of it here, you're going to get an octave sound. If you mute the octave sound, if you mute this direction and play over here, you're going to hear a fifth kind of shouting out, a higher sound. Sounds like that. So with this instrument, you can play the ding note here. You can do fun stuff like that. We have these little pitch bend sounds. So you can explore and have fun. And the same thing goes with all the other notes that are around the edge. So you can play with the octaves. You can play the fifths. And some of those are more advanced techniques, and they're a little bit hard to get out of one instrument versus another instrument. But as you explore it, you can figure out where all these nuances are and use them for your musical delight and create different things that you like to hear and that other people respond to when you're playing. All right, so quickly getting started on how to play the instrument. So one of the quickest exercises that I get people started with in our classes is we just play 4 times with the right hand and 4 times with the left hand on the ding note, like this. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're just looking for a nice, pleasant, warm sound out of the instrument. I actually, to some degree, play a little bit right on my knuckle, not so much on the pad of my finger there. And that's right, breathe. Don't forget to breathe, because a lot of people, when they're learning, they stop breathing for some reason. I've noticed that in classes, people stop breathing. So that's one of the first exercises just to get started with. And then after you get good at that, get a good tone, you can move on over to the tone field notes on the side. So I usually switch the D and the E. So here's D on the right-hand side, and then E on the left-hand side. Back to D on the right-hand side. Back to E on the left-hand side. And this is just something you could practice really easily on your own. It's also kind of meditative. You can kind of go slow. Just breathe and relax. Work on the ding note for a little while. Then you can go to your other tone field notes. So those are just some really simple practice ideas for you. So by the way, I'm a little bit over-exaggerating the motion right now of my arm because I just want you to see it on the camera. But typically when I'm playing these, I have kind of like this motion here. This is more of my performance motion here. you see my arm doesn't really move outwards too much. It's just kind of my wrist and my fingers that are moving. Another thing you can practice is going straight up the scale. So straight up the sunset scale. So we start out on the left hand with the ding note. You go to your right hand on the A, left hand on the C, right hand on the D, left hand on the E, right hand on the F, left hand on the G, right hand on the A. So you just go straight up the scale like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's do that again. It goes left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And that's your basic sunset scale. And by the way, that can be very meditating just the way it is. So once you get good at it, you don't have to play it fast. You can change the tempo. You can make it go slower and then faster. So you can really experiment with all sorts of ways of making the instrument musical by using simple ideas and then changing the tempo or changing from soft to loud, that sort of thing. So since it's simple, you don't have to really think of it as being, what I'm saying is using simple ideas is a really great method of creating music. And a lot of people think simple makes it sound like you don't know what you're doing. But a lot of people, if you use simple things effectively, it can be really entrancing, and people are really brought into the music by listening to you when you do that. So don't be scared of simple ideas. All right, so that's some basics on how to get started. So striking it with the index finger is typically what I do. If you feel better with your middle finger, go for it. Your middle finger's fine too. I typically don't really suggest the ring finger or the little finger. They're not very strong. But if you want, look, it looks kind of cool on film, right? So as a performance technique, you might want to do that. Looks kind of cool. Or you can kind of flutter back and forth between your thumb and here to create like a rolling motion. I'm not so good with it on my left hand. But you get it? It looks kind of cool. Or if you do both of them together. You can do all sorts of fun stuff. Some people do use your thumbs or their thumbs to play. Like I said, I prefer my index finger. When I play two notes at the same time, sometimes I will use my thumb and my index finger here, or sometimes my thumb and my middle finger. Over here, same thing, thumb and finger. When over here, it starts getting a little bit difficult. Over here, I tend to like to play these two with my ring finger and my index finger. And then I kind of move my body to the side over here like this. And then by the way, that's my ring hitting the instrument. Sorry, I shouldn't be wearing my ring. But then over here on the right-hand side, you've got the F and A, and it's easier for me to strike with my index finger and my ring finger. These two over here, sometimes I go back and forth between these fingers versus then the index finger. You can also play chords, so playing 3 notes at a time. I've got 2 notes with my left hand here and 1 note with my right. 2 notes with my right hand and 1 note with my left over here. So that can be fun also. So there's all sorts of fun things that you can do with the instrument just right off the bat after you kind of get the feel for it. So it usually takes a couple weeks for people to practice before they start feeling comfortable with their hands. Typically, that's what I hear from people. About 2 weeks in, they start feeling more comfortable. And back when we had classes here at the store, if somebody came in multiple times, it was usually the next month or the next couple weeks later, the same person would come in after they rented or something like that for a while. And they looked a lot better, looked way more comfortable and that sort of thing. So it does take a little bit of practice, but it's not impossible. All right, here's another thing that we like to show to our beginners, and we like to show them a little rhythm that we call the Austin Funk. And anybody has watched this class before, I'm sure you're probably familiar with it. We've been doing this for years now. It's a very basic one, but it shows you how to play a rhythm pan. And I always think that this one's the best one you could use for your first gig at a coffee shop as people are walking in through the door. It just basically sounds like "We Will Rock You" a little bit with something little thing in between. So it sounds like this. And here's the little something between. And it starts over again. So I'm using my left hand on the ding note, and my right hand is playing the interstitial metal. So you can see over here, we talked about that briefly earlier. This is the interstitial metal, and I just smack it right now with my with my middle finger, and I'm not sure which finger you prefer. I tend not to have people play with their full hand. Full hand kind of has a muted sound to it. A single finger typically has a little sharper sound to it. I tend to like my middle finger. And you want to slap it onto the steel and pretty much leave it there. It's the opposite action that you would use for hitting a handpan note. With a handpan note, you want the finger to come off immediately. With the interstitial metal, you want to kind of strike it and squish it onto the metal to create that snapping. You can, by the way, you can use that sound pretty much anywhere on the handpan between the notes. So wherever's comfortable. But if you get too close to a note, you're going to start getting the sound of the note. Right? So you want to get away from the notes as much as possible. The left hand, I'm just using the ding note with my left hand. So it goes like this. 1, 2, 1. All right, so let's do this. Left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left. So that's the first part. And then after that, we play the C and the D. It goes left, right, left, right. So we find the C and the D on the instrument, and it just plays from left to right, left to right. Back to the beginning. So the first part is basically a repetition of three times through the first part. So 1, 2, 3. Stop on the ding, left, right on the C and the D, and start over right there. 2, 3, stop, and left, right. So this is a really fun one because you can kind of talk over it while you're playing, like I'm doing right now. You can say hi to your friends and family as they're walking in through the door of the coffee shop. Hey, Sally, nice to see you. So glad to see you here at the coffee shop. Please don't forget to enjoy a latte while you're here. And by the way, I've got my tip jar. Please put $1 in the tip jar. It's really fun. So you can just do this, and people can be hanging out listening to you. You can be talking, or you could make up poetry, or you can make up a song, or a rap, or anything like that. Little pattern, and you can make it your own song. You can even stop if you wanted to, just out of the blue. Hey everybody, welcome to my show. I'm going to be started in a few minutes. In the meantime, enjoy the company you have out there in post-COVID world, and enjoy your coffee. Here we go. I'm going to get the show started in a few minutes. All right, so that's the Austin Funk. And I usually end it like on that part right there. See, and I just let it drift. It's really fun. Yes, that's my little finished. We finished the session sound. So thank you, Daniel. All right. Well, if anybody has any further questions, feel free to ask them on the comments. We can get back to you. Otherwise, you can go to our website, davexyloninstruments.com. We have handpan rentals. We have handpans. And we've got great customer service. So please give us a call or email or text us, whatever you want to do. Or it's on Facebook.
Oh, there we go.
We're looking out for those messages, and we'd be happy to hear back from you. So, all right, Daniel, do you have any further comments?
We had a tech hiccup, but yeah, we're back now. So
cool. All right.
You went blank for a second. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just saying we've got a website, www.davexyloninstruments.com. If anybody wants to go to our pages and get lessons like the DIY community right there, we've got online lessons for people that are learning how to play handpan, or for people that are interested in handpan and want to kind of get an overview of what they're getting into. You can go on there and check it out. You can contact us through the DIY community and get responses from us on the specific lessons if you have any question about a specific lesson. And also, we've got great customer service. So Daniel and Carrie are in the background waiting for your calls and your Facebook messages and your emails, and we'd love to hear from you. So just contact us anytime. We'd love to hear from you.
Nice. Hold on. Let me get back to you. Awesome. And then, are we finishing? Is that what?
That's it. We're done. We usually finish with the Austin Funk and that, and then we're done.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Athena says, all seemed well over here tech-wise. I heard it all, I think. Thanks a ton. Super helpful. So I guess it was just on my side.
Cool.
So. Awesome, Dave.
Thanks for staying with us, Athena. That's great.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything else. Just I love hearing, I actually learned about you were talking about the scales earlier. That was awesome. And I love our Saturday shows. I'm glad we can share with a lot of people. Just remember that beautiful handpan in front of you. I think that's the only one. You have another one?
Oh yeah, this is the only Galaxy available right now. Galaxy series.
Okay. Oh wow, that's so awesome. So
you
guys heard it here first. If you guys are looking for a cool looking pan, and it sounds freaking amazing. That's awesome. So
yep.
Awesome. Well, Dave, glad to see you want to end us off with some good tunes or some good vibes.
Yep, sounds good. I'll play a couple things here.
Sweet. All right. Glad to have.
All right, thanks much, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you for joining, everybody. Namaste. Remember to visit our website, subscribe, like, comment, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Have a great day.